Imagine you walk into a room. Someone barely looks at you. Someone else is unusually friendly. One person keeps interrupting you. Another barely says a word. And suddenly, your brain starts creating stories. They don't like me. He's arrogant. She's insecure. They're judging me. But here's the problem. You might be completely wrong, because human behavior is rarely as simple as it looks. And once you understand psychology, something strange happens. You stop seeing only what people do and start seeing why they do it, and that can completely change the way you see people and yourself. 1. Your brain is not trying to show you reality. It's trying to make sense of it. Here's where things get really interesting. Your brain doesn't simply observe the world, it interprets it. Imagine two people receive the exact same criticism. One thinks, they're trying to help me improve. The other thinks, they don't respect me. Same words, completely different experience. Why? Because your previous experiences, beliefs, insecurities, expectations, and emotions influence what you notice and how you interpret it. That's why two people can experience the same situation and walk away with completely different stories. This is one reason psychology matters, because sometimes the problem isn't what happened, it's the meaning your brain attached to what happened. 2. People want to feel important. Here's another uncomfortable truth about human nature. People want to matter. They want to feel respected. They want to feel heard. They want to feel like they belong. And this explains more human behavior than you might think. Why do people brag? Sometimes they're seeking recognition. Why do people constantly check social media? Sometimes they're looking for connection or validation. Why does being ignored hurt so much? Because rejection isn't just about losing someone's attention. It can threaten our sense of belonging. And here's the interesting part. If you understand that people want to feel valued, your communication changes. Instead of always trying to prove yourself, you start listening. Instead of trying to win every argument, you become curious. And strangely enough, people often like you more when you stop trying so hard to impress them. 3. People aren't as rational as they think. We like to believe we're logical. But we're emotional creatures who are pretty good at explaining our decisions afterward. Think about the last time you bought something you didn't really need. You probably didn't tell yourself, I'm making an emotionally driven purchase. Your brain probably said, it's on sale. I've wanted it for a while. I'll definitely use it. That's your brain creating a reason that makes the decision feel logical. And this happens everywhere. In relationships, in arguments, at work, online. People don't just search for information. They often search for information that makes their existing beliefs feel correct. That's why arguing with someone using nothing but facts doesn't always change their mind, because you're not only challenging their information, you're challenging the story they use to understand themselves and the world. 4. Your emotions can change your perception. Here's something you can test today. The next time you're angry, look at how differently you interpret people. A harmless comment suddenly sounds disrespectful. A delayed text suddenly feels intentional. A small mistake suddenly feels like proof that someone doesn't care. Then notice what happens the next morning. Same person, same situation, different emotional state, different interpretation. That's because emotions don't just affect how you feel. They can influence what you notice, what you remember, and what you believe something means. So, when you're extremely emotional, sometimes the smartest move isn't to make a decision. It's to wait. Don't make permanent decisions based on temporary emotional states. 5. Understanding psychology also changes how you see yourself. And this might be the biggest reason to learn psychology. Because eventually, you stop using psychology only to understand other people. You start using it to understand you. Why do I keep procrastinating? Why do I crave approval? Why do I keep checking my phone? Why do I overthink conversations? Why do I keep returning to the same kind of relationship? Why does rejection affect me so much? Why do I compare myself to people I don't even know? These questions are powerful because once you understand the pattern, you can finally start changing it. You can't control every thought that enters your mind, but you can become better at recognizing what's happening inside it. And that's a completely different kind of power. The big idea. Once you understand human psychology, you start noticing patterns everywhere. You see why people seek approval, why they compare themselves, why they defend beliefs, why rejection hurts, why people sometimes push away the people they care about, why your own brain can sabotage you without you realizing it. And eventually, you realize something. People aren't as random as they seem. Their behavior usually has a reason, and sometimes the person you understand the least is yourself. So, the next time someone surprises you, don't immediately judge the behavior. Pause. Get curious. Ask, what is happening underneath this? Because the moment you stop simply reacting to human behavior and start understanding it, you don't just see people differently. You start seeing life differently. And once you see these patterns, you can't unsee them. Brain unlocked. Understand the mind. Understand the behavior. Subscribe for more psychology and human behavior.